Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about altering the triggers on Glocks. Is it a good idea? Is it safe? If you've been watching my channel, you know I recently bought a new Glock, a Glock 20 Gen 5 10mm, and I was considering altering the trigger on it. Not the physical trigger itself, I might do that later, but I'm talking about changing the trigger weight. I picked up one of these the other day, one of these trigger connectors here, and it's a 3.5 pound trigger connector. So this would lighten the stock trigger on my Glock. The Glock has about a 6 pound trigger from the factory. It's just under, just over, depending on how you measure it, where you put your finger on the trigger, etc. So this would change it to under 4 pounds, or right around there. So it makes it lighter. Now, the question is that safe to do? Is that something you should do? Now, I know I've done it in the past. I've got hundreds of videos literally on my channel about Glocks, and a lot of them are me making modifications to Glocks back when we could actually do that on camera. So I'm not new to this. I'm just wondering, is it something that's safe to do, and does it make sense if you're going to use your Glock for self-defense? That's the question I want to answer today, or at least to the best of my ability to answer. And there's a couple of different ways you have to look at this. A lot of people are going to wonder about, what about legal liability? If you're using your gun as a carry gun and you have to use it and you've altered it in any way, are you going to face greater liability, greater legal risk? Well, you can, not necessarily, but you might. Like if you alter that trigger and make it lighter, or you change how that gun functions in any way, but specifically the trigger, and you make it lighter, and you're involved in a good shoot where you were justified in shooting, that trigger weight's not going to make for a hill of beans. But if you're in a situation where you draw your gun, but then you pull the trigger prematurely because of a lightened trigger weight, and you're dumb enough to say, I didn't mean to shoot, the trigger was just too light, well, then you're screwed. Because you've lightened that trigger and then you've had an accident where you've hurt somebody. Yeah, you're going to have greater liability there. But if you keep your finger off the trigger and you only shoot if you're justified, and you don't draw your gun willy-nilly for no reason, you should be fine. Legal liability shouldn't be something you have to worry about. What I'm talking about, the things you should worry about with a Glock, is safety to you, the person carrying it. Because let's face it, a 4 pound, 3.5 pound trigger is very light. Heck, the 6 pound triggers are very light. When police officers first switched over to Glocks, they were shooting themselves all the time, left and right. Shooting themselves and each other with them. There was an epidemic of that going on in a lot of police departments because they were used to revolvers which have a very heavy double action pull, sometimes up to like 12 pounds or more. And now they were trying to deal with 6, and like I said, they were blowing their toes off. If they were lucky, was just their toes or their friends' toes. So they actually increased the weight of their triggers. You can get a plus connector, which actually changes your trigger weight to about 8 pounds. A lot of people call that a Glock New York trigger. You know, it's just a lot different, a lot heavier. You know, just something I don't think most people want to do, unless of course they're really worried about NDs. And that's why I question whether you should lower that trigger weight to 3.5, 4 pounds. Because like I said, if you're carrying it for self-defense, is that going to make a difference? Is it going to give you an advantage in a self-defense situation? That's questionable. Because here's the thing. In a self-defense situation where you're really under duress and your adrenaline is flowing, chances are you're not going to tell what weight that trigger is. You're not going to know your own strength. You're not going to have any problem shooting that gun. If you've trained to pull that trigger at 6 pounds and shoot from reset, it's not going to matter if that trigger was 6 pounds or 2 pounds when you're using it in that situation. It's going to feel about the same to you because, like I said, your adrenaline's going to be surging. So does it give you a real advantage in a self-defense situation if you've trained with it at 5 pounds, 6 pounds? I don't really think it does. Now, can a trigger change like that, changing it to a lighter connector, can it make a difference in some things? Yes. Sports shooting. If you're a sports shooter, well, it's definitely going to make a difference because in sports shooting, you're not under duress. You're not, your adrenaline's not surging. So you want to have a lighter trigger because in sports shooting, a lighter trigger might give you a 1/10 of a second advantage And in sports shooting, that 1/10 of a second advantage matters. So things like these lighter triggers do have a reason, because Glocks are greatly prevalent in sports shooting. So of course they need to have things like this. But like I was saying, is it good for self-defense? There's an argument to be made there that you're just putting yourself at greater risk. You're not giving yourself any advantages for carry. You're just putting yourself at greater risk. Now, there are guns with lighter triggers. A lot of single action guns have lighter triggers, but they usually have safeties. The Glock does not have a safety to put on and click off. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have any safeties. Of course it has safeties. It has that little dongle on the trigger. It has things like firing pin blocks, and it has that trigger weight, that actual trigger weight, that nearly 6 pounds. That there is part of the safety features of the Glock. Makes it less likely to go off accidentally or negligently. And when you lighten it, you kind of take that away. You're taking away part of your safety. Now, if you keep your finger off your trigger, you're not going to ever have a problem, period. But if an accident happens, and we all know accidents do happen, even to the most careful people, that couple of pounds of trigger weight could mean the difference between it going off and it not going off. So you have to sit there and think, well, I'm not using this for sports shooting. I'm not using it for playing at the range. So I might as well train with it at the proper trigger weight, which is safer. I'm not really going to notice that when I use it in self-defense, so it's not going to really give me any advantage for that. So is it a good idea? Like I was saying earlier, does the risk become acceptable due to the gains you get from the trigger? And if you're using a Glock for what I think a Glock is best for, besides sports shooting, self-defense, I really don't think it's worth it. I've done it many times. I might do it with this one. I've got it. I might do it. I don't plan on carrying this gun, but you never know. I might. And I'll definitely take it out back and shoot it some. So I might change it. But if you are someone who's going to carry your Glock for self-defense, no, I don't recommend lightening the trigger. That 6-pound trigger is part of what makes it safer. Because when you lighten it, it takes less effort for any unfortunate act to actually push that trigger. And usually, I'm going to say 99% of the time, if something's actually pushing your trigger accidentally, you're putting it in a holster, something gets in the trigger guard, etc. If it hits that dongle, it's probably going to go off. But you never know. Having that extra couple of pounds of trigger weight might make it to where you notice the resistance and you stop before it goes off. So yes, it is safer at 6 pounds. I don't think it gives you any advantage in self-defense. It does in sports shooting and at the range. But when it comes to saving your life, which is what your carry gun's for, I don't think it gives you any advantage. It just makes it more likely you'll have an accident with the gun. So I guess what I'm saying here, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, please let me know in the comment section if you agree with me. If you're going to carry your gun for self-defense, don't mess with that trigger weight. Unless, of course, you're going to make it heavier, because that trigger weight is part of what keeps you safe while you're carrying that gun. All right, everybody, I rambled on for a long time there, way longer than I planned. Before I go, I want to let people know one thing. There is a new t-shirt over on tympistolproject.com. If you want to go over and look at it, it is the Prepared Bear shirt. It's kind of a new updated version of the shirt I'm wearing right now. So if you want to go over there and get one, go get it. All proceeds benefit the Pets and Vets program. All proceeds benefit Pets and Vets. And you also get entries into the friend drawing. If you buy a t-shirt, you get 2 entries into the friend drawing, the monthly friend drawing. So if you want one of the new designs, please go over there. Or if you have one of the old designs you haven't gotten yet that you want, get that. Like I said, it all supports Pets and Vets, and you get yourself a chance to win a really nice prize. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I want to remind everyone, if you're a patron, there is a patrons-only chat tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Hope to see you there. The link will be sent out over on Patreon. And with that being said, I'm out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I hope you come back again tomorrow. And I want to thank everyone out there that supports the channel. And I want to remind everyone to always carry and stay safe until I see you again. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Just wanting to remind everyone, if you want to support this channel and the programs that we sponsor, or you just want some official Yankee Marshall Posse merchandise, you can go over to tympistolproject.com and there is a wide selection of merchandise over there. Pick yourself out something, buy yourself something nice. Anytime you buy a t-shirt, you get 2 entries into this month's friend drawing. You buy any other item, you get 1 entry into this month's friend drawing, and all profits go to the Pets and Vets Fund that we support. So go on over, get yourself some merch, help save an animal in need, and maybe win a prize. Hey everyone, Yankee here. You know, in my videos, we often cover some complicated subjects with a lot of gray area. So if you would like to further discuss anything said in my videos, please join us in one of my live chats. Live chats are held most days at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Monday and Wednesday when they are at 5 p.m. Pacific. There is a clickable link to the live chats in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you disagree with anything I've said in a video, feel free to participate in Spank the Yank. You can come on the live discussion panel and let me know face-to-face how I was wrong.